Let's start off and let's just simply put it the way it needs to be put. Everyone has a difference in opinion. Everybody. Not everyone is exactly the same. Some people don't like Kenny Omega as champion. Some people love it. Some people just don't give a care. Some people seriously do care. Some people just seriously never care from the beginning to now. This is truth. But here is one thing that will always be the thing for me. Always. I never really think it sucked. I just think it wasn't my style at one point. I think it was a lot of stuff to kind of jump into for personally to me. I think AEW when it first came out, it was more of a I like it, but I'm just not fully into it at the moment. I knew I was going to come back to AEW and I was going to binge watch what I've missed so far to catch up with everything. And it happened. I haven't binge watched everything, but I've walked back and forth to Miro becoming champion, to even my favorite moment at this point, and still my favorite moment hasn't been a moment that topped it, Dean Ambrose becoming champion, because I know it's Jon Moxley, but still love the man as champion. Really good. The man's a real good brutal machine. But yeah, let's see what he has to say. He says AEW doesn't suck anymore, and let's hear what he has to say about why.
In the beginning of the year, AEW wasn't looking too good. The company was heading downhill and it was looking really bad. The ratings were consistently dropping on a weekly basis. In March, the show was hovering just around 700,000 viewers, and it even went down to 688,000. And in June, it was even worse, and it went down all the way to around 400,000 viewers. It was not looking good for AEW Dynamite. On top of that, the quality of the show was pretty bad as well. This was around the time when they had the huge botch at the Revolution pay-per-view. The explosions in the ending of the Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley match was a complete disappointment, and Tony Khan tried to work around it and say that Kenny Omega purposely wanted to mess with everyone by creating a dud, but it just did not work out. Other than that, the ending of the Blood and Guts match also had people laughing. The camera production team made the mistake of showing the cardboard box that Chris Jericho landed on, which was clearly not a stage or a ramp. AEW also was just getting really boring around this time in the beginning of the year. That's what I personally thought, and I thought the ratings were low because of the shows being not as good as they once were. People within the company were also being misused. Miro was still a part of that stupid Kip Sabian storyline, being his best man. I don't know why that happened in the first place. MJF and Chris Jericho had a lackluster feud, and
I didn't think the feud was really lackluster to me personally. I think the feud, in a sense, was kind of interesting, personally. It was just, I think the problem came in for this very simple. Here's my simple problem when it comes to some rivalries. I think you have to have time, because we all knew from when he first joined the Inner Circle, he's going to either try to take over and kick Chris Jericho out of power or start his own faction. I think that was pretty easy to tell. And when he started his own faction, it wasn't really a surprise. It wasn't really, oh my gosh, he started his own faction. Didn't see that coming. It was just a time thing. But then at one point I kind of thought maybe this is going to be a long time thing. Like maybe it'll be like maybe a year worth, just a year or a good few months of them running around before the betrayal. So I didn't think it was the best thing ever, but I didn't think it was the worst thing ever either. I think it was kind of meh, to be honest with you.
overall the show just wasn't as good as it could be. I even made a video about it explaining why I thought that AEW sucks. Half a year later, and so much has changed. AEW has actually made significant improvements. I'm personally digging the shows that they've been putting on as of late. The company has seen its best ratings ever, with the shows hitting more than 1 million viewers for AEW.
I think the show does do good. I think AEW does do good. But I think the only problem now is, can it stay like that? Because let's be real, new signings do increase, viewership. New signings from that have a rich history with someone else, or being misused, or just that they're coming, that's a guarantee. that's their fan base going to watching another show. That's it. I don't know how long lasting it is, but we'll see.
On a weekly basis. They even beat Raw in the 18-49 demo once. It is clear that Tony Khan noticed it was becoming trash and he started putting more effort into his show. So today I'm going to explain why AEW does not suck anymore and why it's actually good.
So, you want to get hired before summer ends? The
Yeah, pretty much.
hottest tech companies are desperate to hire for customers.
Really? Yeah, by far. That's one big news for it. That's one big news for it. I mean, of course. I mean, yeah, that's one of the major reasons. Besides, the stories that they can present. That's also one of the biggest reasons.
The biggest reason why AEW does not suck anymore is because of their recent signings. At the end of the day, the most important thing about wrestling is talent. I've said this
Yes.
countless times because I really believe it. Your show is only as good as your roster. And Tony Khan spent the last 2 years improving his roster and signing talent around the world, and it's been helping out tremendously. The biggest name that he signed was obviously CM Punk.
CM Punk by far is the biggest thing that they will ever get when it comes to this type stuff. Like, the only way that they could ever beat this is if they sign in Hulk Hogan and freaking John Cena himself. Like, you gotta sign some. I mean, there's no one really bigger than CM Punk out here. There probably is, but no, I don't know. I don't know who would be in that category of things like that. But continue on, my guy. Continue on.
The fact this man really brought CM Punk back and out of retirement is incredible. I would have never thought that that was going to happen. This led to one of the best moments in AEW's short history, and that was CM Punk's return on Rampage, which was awesome. Everything about it was perfect. It could not have been better. Even Jim Cornette gave them praise and said they booked it better than what he had in mind, and that is a huge compliment because he hates everything about AEW. Tony Khan also signed some really good names from the WWE afterwards. Christian was a sleeper signing. Nobody really expected it to happen, but I'm glad it did. AEW gave him a much better run than what he would have gotten if he stayed with the WWE. His matches with Kenny Omega were also top-notch wrestling. Christian clearly still got it at the age of 47 years old. AEW then signed two younger wrestlers that can easily become world champions one day, and that is Malachi Black and Andrade. WWE never treated those guys properly, and it's a shame because they are two of my favorites right now. AEW does need to book Andrade better, though.
Let me just say it for my two in particular. I can't wait for these two to become mega stars. I can't wait for it personally. I can't wait for them to be in that amazing, lovely category of just stardom. Can't wait for them to be just wreaking havoc when. How do I put it? I just can't wait for them to become champion. Basically, let me be real. It's nothing else. I just can't wait for them to become champion. And just run this. To be real with you.
Because he's been booked pretty badly here, but Tony Khan will need to make that change. And we can't talk about AEW's newest.
Yeah, Adam Cole, Bay, and then Bobby Fish. That's also an interesting one. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Bobby Fish coming like at all. What? Bobby Fish was a very big surprise on my end because I didn't expect Bobby Fish to be there. Because I'm just random, just on the darn Instagram. And next thing I know, I see Bobby Fish versus, and I'm like, wait, whoa. He left WWE, he left NXT, bro. What the fudge? When did this happen? Wasn't he doing that whole rivalry with Roderick Strong and all that? What the fudge? I mean, he was not gonna be successful in WWE. Let's be real. He was gonna be at best a jobber, and I don't mean like a successful jobber. I don't mean one of those jobbers who have a good win streak and then lose at like a pay-per-view and then they can continue the win streak. Set up good rivalries, just in case for other people. And I'm like, no, I mean, he was probably going to be like a filler at best and probably losing so many times that it's not even funny. They probably gonna Rusev him eventually. He gonna be like, oh, he's gonna be a really dominant guy. Or if they're probably never gonna be dominant, probably just gonna be just trashed. Probably gonna ruin my boy Bobby Fish because he could have been something, and that's stupid. Because all these releases, they gotta take him out the game immediately instead of letting him be in there for us to enjoy him one last time. That's crazy.
Signings without mentioning Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, who both make.
Yeah. Yep. That's crazy, bro, that happened. Because that was just surprising to me. I didn't expect to see Daniel Bryan of all people. Daniel Bryan is an interesting one. Couldn't wait for it. Oh, that's great. Now I gotta clean that up. But didn't really expect Daniel Bryan to come out when he did, because it was a nice little bait and switch from what we normally get. And I don't get me wrong, the only thing I have a problem with AEW is at the moment when it comes to like the signings and all that, them debuting on like pay-per-view, and the pay-per-views come like every few months instead of like every month. So I mean, it's not the WWE time of being like every month we get something. It's every 2-3 months we get something. So that means that's a long time to be able to make a rivalry. So I like that personally better, and that's why I think I like NXT so much, is because the pay-per-view is not every darn this Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say Sunday? I meant next Sunday. Oh, you just finished the pay-per-view. Can't see it. See you in the next 3 Sundays. All right, bro.
Their debuts at the same time at All Out.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was just an epic moment that I've never seen done before. When you look at all those names and the other ones signed from 2020, I think AEW has one of the best rosters ever.
Look, did you know there was a government-funded education grant
No.
that could deposit up to...
Better wrestling, they do. I will say by far one of the things that I would have put immediately was signings and tag. The tag teams are legitimate. Like they're giving it to not just a few tag teams, they're giving it to multiple. They're from when we first start watching AEW up to this point now, we've had so many good tag teams that honestly I like. So that's a thing.
One of my biggest issues with AEW was always the wrestling. It looked so...
Nah, that wasn't even my problem. My problem wasn't the wrestling in particular. It was what they did with the wrestling. My problem at first was the amount of spots. Because as cool, do not get me wrong, Kenny Omega is like not the king of spots, but he is a very good person when it comes to spots in a wrestling ring. The amount of spots he does in a match is nice. He really knows how to pull out emotions. But the problem is when you're trying to pull out emotions for every darn match, I don't care that much to really be putting in that much energy for a simple match that I can't just laugh and have fun with now. Because sometimes you should just be able to just chill and relax. You ain't got to take it so goddamn serious every single match. I didn't like all the spots that they did. I didn't like all the spots. It was too many for I understand certain things becoming like the trademark thing. That's fine. But after a while, it became more of a, okay, bro, you done with your spots yet?
Unprofessional that it was almost embarrassing to watch. They would set up spots that were incredibly obvious. They had way too many botches for a national program, and they did a terrible job when it came to selling the moves. The reason why their wrestling was bad was simply because they didn't have professional wrestlers that actually knew how to wrestle. Because of all these new signings who are former WWE guys, I think the wrestling has drastically improved. Christian, Miro, FTR, CM Punk, Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, Andrade, and Malachi Black all have come into AEW from WWE, and they are actually wrestling the proper way. This includes wrestling that does not look choreographed and slowing down the pace, including some selling. It's been very refreshing, and I hope that they're also teaching some of the other guys backstage that never got this proper training.
From what we heard, what's name was trying to tell them what to do, but they were being, some of them were being a little too, what's the name, from what we learned about, which I was like, I hope they're really not doing that. They're really, I'm so sorry, man, I'm so sorry. Um, Jim Ross was trying to teach him, trying to tell him some stuff, and they just were like, "Nah, we're the wrestlers, you're not," and stuff like that. I was like, "Ah, please don't do that. Please don't."
Doesn't seem like the case though, because there are people like the Young Bucks, Jungle Boy, and the Lucha Bros who still act very insane, but let's just hope that it leads to a change one day. I will admit though, at least those people who do wrestle like crazy independent guys have gotten a lot smoother, which is good. I'm guessing it's because they've had more experience with wrestling on TV now.
Yep, by far the women's division, when it comes to it, is better for a simple reason. Every woman, technically, in a sense, has a chance. Well, not every woman. They're building up a lot of the women. Instead of building up a certain few women for certain indications and then forgetting about it.
The women's division has been one of AEW's biggest problems since the debut of the company. It seemed like All Elite Wrestling just didn't care about that division. I can confidently say that this is not the case anymore.
I never felt like they didn't care. I felt like they didn't have enough star power in it. That's what I felt like. I didn't feel like it wasn't that they just didn't care for it. I believe that they just didn't have the star power to do like some of the stuff that they wanted to do personally.
AEW made many changes and added a
food ready. I just simply thought, in a simple case to put it, they just needed more stars.
ton of new names to that division.
And they do.
First and foremost, Britt Baker winning the championship was easily one of their best decisions.
Yep.
She is a breath of fresh air and has been killing it in this role.
Very
Thunder
much so.
Rosa is also now an official member of the AEW team, and that is great news because she should be the next women's champion.
Okay.
Jade Cargill is being built as a dominant monster, and she could probably beat up a majority of the AEW
Very
roster.
much so.
Ruby Soho was a perfect signing
love it.
for Tony Khan. And then you got Anna Jay and Ty Conti, who are also great
See, look at
pieces
these
of that
amazing
division.
people, bro.
AEW also recently just announced the brand new TBS title for the women's division. So honestly,
Oh,
the
really?
women's division is looking bright, and the future looks good. The most refreshing thing about AEW is the fact that Tony Khan actually listens to his fans. It is a beautiful thing to see because the WWE is the complete opposite. So many people wanted Liv Morgan to get a push for a few years now, and the audience in attendance even gives her good pops. Despite all of this, the WWE never listens, and she has been stuck in.
I've been waiting for her to win the women's championship. I see her winning the SmackDown Women's Championship still, and her having not the longest reign, but a 2-3 reign with it, and it being pretty much the same. Her being either, the joyous, cheerful champion that takes on all comers type stuff, or or a really smart heel champion that doesn't take on all comers, that tries to make sure that it's basically put it like this. I think her character in general could be like a really good champion if they let her just be her.
Catering for the longest time now. AEW is not like that at all. They understand their audience and they give them what they want. The fans wanted Bryan Danielson
Make me AEW champion, bro. I'm a fan. Come on. Make me AEW champion. Thank you.
versus Kenny Omega, and AEW gave it to us without any interruptions or disqualifications. The fans wanted Britt Baker to become the next women's champion, and then AEW made her the next women's champion. And now the people want Hangman Adam Page.
Yes, I cannot wait for this man to become champion. I know it's only a matter of time until he takes out Kenny Omega, and I can't wait for it.
Defeat Kenny Omega, finally becoming the AEW World Champion, and I can guarantee that that is going to happen at
He's
Full
gonna
Gear.
pour beer on it.
Listening to their audience is one of AEW's strengths because it keeps us engaged with the product. It feels like we actually have a voice, and the WWE should take some notes. And the last reason why
By far, yes. They are way so much more fun. You have more fun watching AEW than you do WWE. WWE is nice, but it's kind of what's the name at times, and NXT gives it a breath of fresh air. But by far, AEW surpasses all of that. The expectation that we put on AEW was stupid at the beginning, but now it's starting to become its own thing, and it's doing what it needs to do.
does not suck is because it's actually fun to watch.
It is.
Whether it's good or bad, AEW is still a lot more fun than Raw right now. Even SmackDown has not been too great outside of the Roman Reigns
Yeah, let's
segments.
be real.
AEW usually puts on an entertaining show, and when they don't, it's not any better or worse than a WWE show. Because the WWE is so bad, I think it honestly makes me appreciate AEW just a little bit more.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
The day WWE died off. Fuck.